Wilkinson. Hopefully, you already know that. And I am here to talk to you today about getting your spark back. I am a coach that works in the food industry, predominantly with women, to help them get the recognition they deserve in their careers. And this week, I have run a 3-day challenge. And so, right now, there are some people in the challenge group watching. And I've decided I was going to stream it everywhere because not everybody could join the Facebook group. So I'm streaming everywhere. Now, hopefully, I'll be able to see your comments, but not guaranteed. But I'm doing it through some software that is supposed to let me see your comments. So do come on and say hi if you are watching live. And if you are watching on replay, give me a hashtag replay. Because what I'm here to talk to you about is why we sometimes lose our spark in our careers and what you can do about it. And I'll share with you some of the tools that I shared throughout the masterclass. And I also want anybody that joined, sorry, not the masterclass, the 3-day challenge, anybody that joined to ask me any questions that they need to. Now, I will warn you, I have a sick child in the house because, that's how life goes. My sister's just popped round to help out, but we might end up having a small child on my lap. But, it happens, doesn't it? So what I'm going to do is share my screen so that you can see these slides. So here we go. So we've done this 3-day challenge all about getting your spark back. I've told you about me, what I haven't mentioned, because I always have to put that on the slides because I always forget to mention I'm also the co-host of the Over Food's Sake podcast that I host with my friend Lucy, where we unwrap the joys and struggles of working in the food industry. And I'm here today in the capacity of somebody who has been in the industry for over 20 years now. I've worked across MPD, process, commercial category. I actually did a bit of a stint in technical and ops as well right early on in my career. So I've got a real breadth of experience in the food industry. And I absolutely love the food industry. But at times it's nearly broken me. And now in the role that I've got now, share the benefit of my hindsight to help others. And a big part of what I found throughout my career at different stages was that sometimes I just lost that spark for the job, like you're just not feeling that motivation anymore, not feeling the mojo. And one thing I would say right now is that a lot of people are feeling that way. We've had a relentless 3 years in the food industry, and it's been hard. It's been tough. I'm just going to check if there's no comments coming through. Yeah, there is somebody here. So it's somebody saying hi, but it just says Facebook user, so it's not much use to me. But anyway, so yeah, it is relentless, and the last few years have been particularly difficult. So, if you're feeling that, don't, know that you are not alone. So what I'm going to cover in this live today is, and I'll apologise because I've got a cold as well, so I'm going to just keep going. Why you've lost your spark, what you need to do next, and how you can get more support going forward. I've just realised that my thing is hiding me. I'm going to take that off so you can actually see me. So ask me any questions, whether or not you join the challenge or not. You can ask me questions throughout this live. Add any questions to the chat. It does seem to be working. It is showing me that there's people there. I just can't see who you are, but I will get the questions and I can have a look on my phone. Got my phone and my iPad all here so that I can see what's going on. And the other thing I would say is, at the end, I will also follow up with any questions. If you're watching this on replay, still ask me questions. I will come back onto the post and I will answer any questions because I'm really passionate about making the food industry a happier place to work. We're all so passionate about what we do, but it can be hard work, and I just want it to be a happier place. So I'm here to help if I can. And what I would also say is take what you need from this and leave the rest. I always say that to people. Some stuff will resonate, some stuff won't. So I'm going to talk about why we lose our spark, because generally We start out in our careers absolutely buzzing with energy. We tend to do really well. If you end up in the right environment and, kind of promotions and all of that sort of stuff just kind of tends to happen because you're really good at what you do. You get your head down, and people seem to notice that you're getting their head down and doing stuff. And there's a reason for that. That's because you're early in your career. So people are going to monitor you more closely. So you're going to get more recognition for all your hard work and everything you're doing. So you start to get promotions, you start to get more work, basically, because let's be honest, you do a really good job. What do you get rewarded with? Yep, more work. And usually that hardworking nature and putting everyone else's needs before our own really, really pays off. It pays off really well. And it can make us really, really super employable. We start to say yes to everything. We'll say yes to all of those extra bits and pieces that might be sucking the life out of us. And we work in an industry that is super fast paced, and it is often, relentless. I remember 20 years ago, you did sort of get like a bit of downtime here and there, and you could like breathe or go to the canteen for breakfast or something like that. It's not like that anymore. But we have become seasoned multitaskers, so we can get on with it. We can do everything that needs doing. But along the way, as we start getting all this stuff piled on us, the stuff that you really enjoyed doing, the stuff that you started out in your career wanting to do, might get diluted a bit with all the other bits that you're doing. It kind of just happens to us, and it doesn't it? Because we've said yes to all of those things. And the other thing that I see, because I work predominantly with women in the food industry, is, it still is a male-dominated environment, particularly at the top. And this isn't about men bashing. This is about the fact that, the leadership styles might be different at that senior level. The views on flexible working aren't that forward thinking everywhere, all of that sort of thing. So I tell you what, nobody ever rings me on a Friday, and I've had 2 phone calls while I've been sat here. I hope it's not somebody saying I'm doing something ridiculous on the internet. Anybody else there? No. It's just really unusual to get all these phone calls. So it's quite male dominated, and that can make it quite difficult. And it can be difficult as women to assert ourselves and speak up in those environments without getting branded as being difficult or aggressive. And that really is a problem. It's not just it's not in your head. That is a problem. But I'm here to say that you should be asserting yourself more. We all should be asserting ourselves more. Because what is happening, once you're starting to say yes to everything, you're taking on all this extra work, you end up working even longer hours, you start to lose that spark because you feel like you're doing everything badly. You're juggling home life, work life, and it can be really, really difficult. And it starts to weigh you down. So what do we do in that situation? You're like, oh my God, I've got so much to do. I need to keep doing stuff. And then we end up working harder. And we do what we do best, which is do everything. And by this point in your career, you might be, you might be managing other people or in a more of a leadership role. And you might be in that position, where you are protecting everybody from the shit coming down stream. So all the stuff you're getting at a senior level, you're protecting your team from that. But they've got their problems too, and you're absorbing, and you're in this middle bit where you want to help everybody, you want everybody to be happy, but actually what ends up happening is your needs get put last because you're protecting everybody else from the tough stuff. Just seeing if that was a comment that had come up. And what that can lead to is working stupidly long hours. It can lead to burnout. I'm talking from experience here, but it can also lead to that real frustration of feeling like you're not being heard, not being listened to. Like, nobody likes that. And it can also get you to a point where you feel like you're stuck and you're not progressing. I've just seen a text from one of the people that called me. Sorry, pocket dial. Okay, there's me worrying about I was doing something wrong. I'll tell you what, we all go negative straight away, don't we? So, so you might be losing that spark because you're working such long hours and you're getting frustrated because you're not doing the bits of the job that you really want to be doing, and you're not getting the recognition that you should be getting, and you get your head down so much that you become invisible, and that's that feeling of being unheard. You become the reliable one, the one that gets everything done, but actually you then get stuck and you see other people progressing and you're not progressing, which can be super frustrating. And what happens is you wake up one day and you're like, I have had enough. Like, the resentment builds up inside you and you feel like you're doing a crap job at everything. You feel like you're doing a half-hearted job at work. You feel like you're not doing all the things that you should be doing outside of work. Like, I'm looking at my house now, complete nut tip behind the camera. And you start to get snappy at your partner or your friends and family or your kids. And it starts to leak into your home life. And, you know, I've been there. I've been there a couple of times in my career where you're just like, I know I'm not happy, but I don't know what was going to make me happy. But then it starts to spill in, and it starts to spill into your home life and start affecting things at home. And, you know, I'm saying that as a divorcee here, and where work definitely had played a part in that situation. And the thing is, you need to find your spark again, you know. So it's like, I'm saying all of this, oh my God, like, you lose your spark and it feels like it's the end of the world. But actually, there are things that you can do to find that spark again. And these are some of the things that I have talked about in the Get Your Spark Back challenge, which are, I'm just going to check again for quotes. Somebody said this sounds like me a few years ago. Yeah. You need to take some time out, which can be the hardest. I don't mean like take time off work. I just mean take some time for yourself. Take yourself away to a coffee shop, take yourself away somewhere quiet and have a cuppa and really start to reflect on the things that matter to you and give you job satisfaction. You also need to start thinking about what are your strengths, because usually when we're playing to our strengths, that's when we get that spark, you know, that kind of mojo, in your flow kind of feeling. That's because you're doing something that you enjoy and is your strength. And in the challenge, I'll come on to, for anybody that wasn't in the challenge, to just quickly show you what we covered in it. There will be things that you're good at, but you don't actually enjoy. So my example that I always use is, my last employed role was in insight and category, and I was absolutely capable of the numbers. I could run dunnhumby reports and I could look at all the data and spreadsheets and stuff like that. I could do it, but flip me, it bored the hell out of me. What I wanted to be doing was making pretty presentations like this and breaking down those insights and making them actionable for businesses. You know, that was the bit of the job that I really liked. And I've realized that I can transfer those skills into my new business, because part of what I do is make really complicated things simple. So that was building on a strength that I wanted to use, not something that I could just do. I've learned to do because of the twists and turns my career's taken, because that's the point. If you lose, just because I've gained those skills along the way, doesn't mean that they're my strength and what I want to do. And then the third bit is really about your ability to influence and your circle of influence, because when you've identified that what might be missing in your job at the moment, what you really want to be doing, you've then got to make it happen. And that involves influencing skills. So the things that we did in the challenge, so if you're in the challenge group, you should have done these things. If you haven't, don't worry, you can still catch up. come and ask me questions. I'm going to keep that group open for another week so that you can catch up, because I know what it's like. You sign up to these things thinking, I'm going to have all the time in the world. I can make time for that. I signed up to another challenge this week for something else, and I've not done the work either. So catch up over this weekend if you can, and I'll still be around to answer questions. So the first thing we did was look at what helps you to feel valued at work. So thinking about all the, is it what's missing really? Was that so some people came up with, it's very financially rewarding, but it's not very supportive for my personal development. And then it was kind of like, okay, so what does that tell you? And it's not always you've got to get out of this business. It's you've got to ask for those things. You've got to make those things happen. At the end of the day, we're all responsible for our own destinies. But it might be that you identify and go, do you know what? I want to get out of here. Right, sorry, let me just take a drink. Then the middle bit is about the playing to your strengths. So we've got a little matrix that was all about what you're good at, but you prefer not to do. So that was, for me, was like data. Not my strength, and prefer not to do would be like formulas or something like that. I don't like doing in-person networking. I'm not very good at it either. Things like that. And then there's top right-hand box, which is the stuff that you're good at doing and you enjoy. That's the stuff that helps you find your spark. I've put a link up there. So it's subscribepage.io/get your spark back if you do want to go and join the challenge, if you've missed it and you want to go and join it. And then the last thing we looked at was what was within your control, what's within your circle of influence, and what's outside. So it's in your circle of concern. And what I want you to do and take away from this challenge is all of the stuff that you want to, that helps you to feel more valued at work, all the strengths that you've got. What does that mean for now and for the future that you could be asking for at work or putting in your plan? Or it could be outside of work. So somebody had something that was about creative writing that they weren't getting to do in their job anymore, but they've had their own blog and they've identified that they need to go and do some more blogging. Sometimes it's the stuff outside of work. Like I realised there's certain things, like I'd lost my creativity, so I started playing the piano again. Or that's why people do colouring books, adult colouring books, that sort of thing. So if you start to identify the things that you enjoy doing but you're not getting an opportunity to do, then you can go and make those happen either at work or outside of work. There might be things that you enjoy and that but aren't your strength. And that might be that you need to go and get some training, or you need to go and get some coaching on it, or you need to ask some people at work to show you how to do it. That's all within your gift. It is within your influence to ask for those things. So that was the premise of the challenge. I'm just going to check if there are any questions from anybody. No, doesn't look like it. And I'm going 18 minutes. I'm always like, I don't want to talk for too long. Because we got to that stage and then it's like, like when you read a book and you're like, oh yeah, totally get that, totally get all the theory, and then you don't go and do anything about it. Unless you do something differently, nothing is going to change. So if you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always got. That's the saying, isn't it? So I want to talk to you about how you start to implement some of this stuff. And the support that I can give you on that. Now, I mentioned the podcast Over Food's Sake. We've got quite a few resources, a few episodes. We're going to develop more resources as time goes by, but there's one on finding purpose that is brilliant, episode to listen to, and we talk about things like Ikigai, which is basically finding the sweet spot of something that people will pay you to do, that you enjoy doing, that the world needs. And there's a fourth one that I can't remember. So there's lots of resources. So have a scroll through. We're at about 80 or 90 episodes now. So there's a lot in there. But go and have a look and see which episodes speak to you, because there is a lot that can help you in there. And then What I want to talk about now, I'm just flicking through my slides. I'm not as organised as I would have liked to have been, because this morning when I went to take my daughter to school, she had an earache. So I'd planned to plan this talk and this discussion this morning, and I've been doing it with her in bed. Anyway, one of the things that the third thing on that list was all about how you implement change and how you ask for what you want. And anybody that was at the Grocery Girls Lunch and Learn last week, let me know if you were and you're watching now. What I talked about there is this. It's a phrase coined by Marshall Goldsmith, who wrote the book What Got You Here Won't Get You There. Now, he is also the co-author on a book that's called How Women Rise, which I would thoroughly recommend because it looks at it from a female perspective. Because all that hard work that I was talking about and getting your head down and people pleasing and working all the hours God sends and saying yes to everything, doing all of the extracurricular stuff, taking the meeting notes, sorting out the Christmas hampers, all of that stuff is not getting you the recognition you deserve. It might be getting you liked, but it's not getting you the recognition you should be getting professionally. What got you here and got you to this level and got you to where you are in your career needs to change if you want going forward. And that's not necessarily about wanting promotions. We don't all want to be directors. But it is about having that spark and doing the things that you want to do. And part of what you need to do is raise your profile, be more visible at work, and assert yourself and ask for what you need. They're the skills that are going to get you where you want to be, to your version of success and happiness. And that's one of the things we talked about in the challenge. Success doesn't have to be about going up a career ladder. It can just be about being content in the role you're in and doing things that you really want to really enjoy doing. Your ability to influence really, really matters. So your ability to assert yourself, which means, and that Grocery Girls, I might do it again outside of Grocery Girls because it went down really well. There was loads of people there and everybody was saying how brilliant it was. In asserting yourself, a lot of people worry, a lot of women worry that they're going to be thought of as aggressive or difficult if they're being assertive. And there's a scale. There's a scale of passive behaviour where you don't ask for what you want and where you're putting everybody else's needs ahead of your own, which a lot of us do. And there's another end of the scale, which is aggressive, which is, I don't care about anybody else. I matter most. And, you've got to do what I say. You ain't ever going to get there. If you're here, don't worry about being aggressive. What might happen is you snap and you turn into aggressive because you're not finding that sweet spot of being assertive in the middle. An assertive person is not somebody that tramples all over everybody. It is somebody that knows that everybody's needs are important, that thinks of themselves as equal to others, not better than or less than others. And I teach assertiveness as part of the workshops that I do in food manufacturers around the language you use, the way you hold yourself, the way you prepare before you go into a meeting. All of that stuff really, really matters and makes a big difference. And the other thing that makes a really big difference is having that self-belief, having the belief that yes, you can. And when I say yes, I don't mean say yes to everything. It's having the belief that you are important enough because your voice does matter. I am absolutely passionate about women in the food industry taking their seat at the table because we do matter. We do have great, fresh, new ideas that aren't getting shared because we might be getting shouted over by those aggressive people, or we may just be being so passive and scared to speak up that we're just, all keeping all of that stuff inside. And I work with so many women that say, I sat in that meeting and I knew what to say, but I wasn't brave enough to say it. And I'm here to say, you can be brave enough to do it. You can do it. You just need to practice. And the other thing that matters is really thinking about your sphere of influence and your network and all of those people in your network. And this is, not about men or women. It's not just about like all women sticking together or anything. It's like we're all in this together. And thinking about when you are trying to influence other people, what's the win-win for them? What do they need? What are their needs? And how are you going to get what you want from them without being manipulative, but just doing it in an assertive way? And it really does matter. And I just think there's so much we've got to share and give that is not being talked about. And it's absolutely my passion to give women in the food industry a stronger voice and get your spark back. Because this stat, which when I shared it in the Grocery Girls thing, people are like, only 7% of CEOs in the food industry, the food and grocery industry, are women. This is an IGD study. And when you get to exec team level, that's still only 22%. And actually, when you go down to the level of by function, they didn't have MPD in that study, but I'm fairly certain it'll be really quite a high number of women in MPD. But the only functions that had any kind of parity were marketing, where 50% of the leaders are women, and in HR, where it was 70-something%. I'm not very good at detail, 74%, I think it was, might have been 72. But it's almost like we're only allowed to rise in the fluffy departments, or that are construed as fluffy, because I'm telling you that they are not fluffy. I now work with HR teams, obviously, and I know how hard what you do is. And I worked in marketing for many years, and I worked in MPD for many years, and they have this perception of being fluffy, and we work so bloody hard in those roles. But the point being, right at the top, the role models are not there of women at the top, and we need to change that. And it's so important at the moment, because your ability to be assertive and make an impact matters. We're going through loads of change. The food industry has so much impact on the world, but we're under so much financial pressure, and I've never seen it quite so difficult. Like the dynamics are changing between manufacturers and retailers. It's tough on both sides of the fence because of the cost of living crisis and supply chain issues and everything we've gone through, and then government legislation like HFSS. All of that stuff's coming in, and actually your ability to assert yourself and get your points across is going to get the job done better. It's going to make your life easier, and you're going to feel less squeezed in that role where you're looking after your team and like sheltering them from above. But it is also going to help you. There's a new buzzword of career cushioning, which is about basically planning ahead for, the fact that we're in an unstable job market, and the reality being that, there will be more and more redundancies, and actually being able to assert yourself will help you feel more secure in the role you're in now, but also help you to feel more secure about getting another job in the future if the worst happened. Not that, although most people that I know that go through redundancy say it's the best thing that happens to them a lot of the time. And yeah, we're all really, really stretched. And the other reason it's really important to assert yourself and influence better is because you deserve to get recognition for all the hard work that you do. And I get so frustrated that we don't get that recognition. So this is why I've launched a course that is coming up, course program, whatever you want to call it. It's a 5-week course called Invisible to Valued. And it's for you if you're feeling, you can scan the QR code that's on the screen in a minute, and the web page is on there as well. It's for you if you're feeling frustrated that you've not got the confidence to speak up, and knowing that you're not pushing back as much as you should be, all the stuff that I've talked about, that you know that you need to raise your profile, but that all just feels a bit icky and it's not really like something that you want to do. And that you get that feeling of dread when you're going into a meeting with more senior members of the team, or, you know, in that male dominated environment. I get it. I've been there. It's going to take you from that to having the confidence to ask for what you want. So all the stuff we've talked about, the stuff that's going to give you your spark back, you can have the confidence to ask for it. It's going to help you push back and say no to things more, which is going to give you more time with your family or to do things outside of work. You know, who knew you could have a life outside of work? And it's going to open up more opportunities and future-proof your career, the career cushioning that I was talking about. And it's going to help you to feel good enough, because I think that's a big part of the problem. We often don't feel like we're good enough. So I'll just tell you a little bit about how it's going to work. I'm just going to have a drink again. Obviously, it's cold. And if you're still with me, thank you for still watching, because I've talked for much longer than I planned to, but I do that quite a lot anyway. It's going to be a 5-week course, but you're going to get access to me for 8 weeks. And over the course of 5 weeks, I'm going to be the way it will work, because I know you're busy and you don't necessarily have time. So I do pre-recorded videos, and each one is only 10 minutes long. So you get 3 10-minute ones a week, so that you can fit it around your schedule. And then there will be a group in which I'll give more support, and I'll do a live Q&A every week. And we're going to talk about why your impact and influence matter. We're going to talk about having more self-belief, and how I will share with you techniques that I use with my one-to-one clients to help you to feel more self-confident, inside and outwardly confident. And then I will be delving more into this whole communication style, the passive aggressive, the passive aggressive, and all of those different communication styles, so that you can start to think about how you flex those communication styles. And then in week 4, we talk about how to get heard, how to take your seat at the table, and how to be heard in those meetings. And then in the 5th week, we will pull it all together. And this is all about how you then take action and start taking all of this forward, and how much your mindset really, really matters. My mindset is something that I have worked on shed loads in the last probably 5 or 10 years, and it has propelled me forward in in so many different ways. So I'm going to share loads and loads of tools with you. Now, it's the first time I'm running it. Right, I'm going to stop sharing now. It's the first time I'm running it. I was going to run it in September, and then we had a family bereavement, so I delayed it. So I've decided to put it out at a bargain beta price. So it's only going to be £197. Now, if you were working with me one-to-one, to get that amount of time, you would, over like 6 weeks, you'd be paying £1,200. So, it's basically like £1,000 discount. Obviously, it's not one-to-one. It will be, in a group setting. You will go away and watch the videos yourself, and then we'll do live Q&As with other people. But what you do get, and what I've seen with loads of group programs, is that you get the benefit of the support of the people around you and learning from one another, which is amazing as well. So it starts on Monday, so hardly at any time at all on Monday. So if you do want to sign up, I will put the link in the comments. If you were at the Grocery Girls thing, you were supposed to get a link last week, and it didn't happen because the email system went down. And I was giving a discount to people on the Grocery Girls. So if you want to DM me and say, I was at the Grocery Girls thing, I can send you the code that I'd promised back then. And I'm really, really passionate about helping as many women as possible in the food industry, because I really do think that you deserve to get your voice heard. You deserve to take your seat at the table, and together I can help you do that. What else haven't I told you? Because that's what happens. I forget to say things. Let me just think. So I've said it's a 5-week course. Did I say that you get lifetime access? So don't worry if you can't do it in the next 5 weeks, you will still get lifetime access. All that happens is that you won't get, the group stuff will end. So I will keep the group open for 8 weeks, but for 5 weeks, the course content will go out. You'll get that access to me, but you'll get all the downloadables and the videos for life. So go and sign up. Like, what are you waiting for? And thank you for those of you that have been here for the whole 35 minutes. I'm very impressed. I'm sorry I can't really see. I don't think I've had many comments. Let me just check on here. No, there's none there. Let me just look in this group. I just want to make sure I've not missed anything, because I said, we'll come on live and you can ask me questions. Here we go. Here we go. No, I just want to make sure. Right. Okay, so Deborah said the Graceful Girls Lunch and Learn was great. We encouraged our team to join if it was run again. Okay, that's good to know. And I will just check LinkedIn as well. Sorry for this is really boring for anybody that's still on, but I just want to make sure that I haven't missed anything. No. Okay. Thank you for listening. Give me a hashtag replay if you are watching on replay, but say hi if you've been watching live. Say I made it to the end. Put that in the comments so that I know who's been here, because this system doesn't tell me who's watching. Thank you for listening. I better go and get back to the little one. I can hear she's maybe feeling a little bit better because I can hear her. She wasn't very well earlier. So have a great Friday and come and join Invisible to Valued. Honestly, you're going to get so much value in this if you join, and I would absolutely love to see you there. Take care. See you later. Oh, well done, Alison. Made it to the end. See you later.